Some people say AI will take all of our jobs in 5 years. Others say 50. Some say never. I'm not here to argue about the timeline. Instead, I want to give you something more useful. Because whatever the speed, the order is surprisingly predictable. By the end of this, you'll be able to look at any career and see which parts of it vanish first and which parts are nearly impossible to replace. Let's start with customer support and sales. You probably already heard that many companies are using AI for customer support and telemarketing. And at first glance, that makes perfect sense. These jobs often revolve around following scripts and repetitive data entry, which is exactly what AI is good at, recognizing patterns and repeating them. But most customer-facing jobs involve far more than following a script. They might need to troubleshoot a product failure that's not listed in the manual, adjust a sales package based on a customer's unique situation, or decipher a very vague email and assign them to the right team. The more exceptions a job encounters, the harder it is to automate. So until then, humans are still needed to handle the unexpected. This is especially true when the stakes are high, like in commercial account management, real estate sales, business acquisitions, talent representation for athletes and celebrities. These jobs depend on trust, and people generally trust humans more because they can be fired, sued, or lose future business because of a costly mistake. But there's an even bigger reason why companies won't automate customer support entirely, because it's not just about serving customers. It's also about how businesses learn. Every confused or angry customer is a potential lesson on how a product or service can be improved. Humans can pick up on subtle emotional cues like frustration, sarcasm, or stress. They can read between the lines and uncover problems that AI might gloss over. So, if a company wants deeper customer loyalty and a lasting competitive advantage, it would be wise to keep humans in the loop, even if AI handle most of the routine and low-stakes interactions. Accounting, finance, and insurance. When you think of these careers, you probably think of spreadsheets, personal budgets, financial models, risk assessments. So you might assume AI will automate all of them. Not quite. See, spreadsheets were already automated decades ago. Before computers, accountants did calculations by hand on paper ledgers. And yet, when computers replaced paper, accountants and analysts didn't disappear. They multiplied. Because once crunching numbers became cheap, businesses started tracking things that they couldn't afford to track before. So as AI made crunching numbers even faster, businesses will likely want more sophisticated tracking and reporting. Now, some jobs will still go away, especially ones that deal with repetitive data and procedures, like bookkeeping, payrolls, budgeting, and basic insurance paperwork. But again, when something unexpected happens, like a missing receipt, a new type of expense, or an unusual car accident, you still need humans to handle the exceptions. The harder jobs to automate deal with forecasts and strategies, because there are almost an infinite number of factors that can influence the future. Should a company invest heavily in growth or diversification? Should an insurer continue serving a high-risk region that is becoming more vulnerable to natural disasters? Should a family save more for retirement or spend more on education? AI can provide generic advice, but it lacks the human intuition to weigh trade-offs under uncertainty. That kind of insight comes from years of real-world experience, which is rarely captured in AI's training data. Marketing, business, politics, and activism. I'm lumping politics and activism into this section because they're really just marketing. Instead of selling products, you're selling ideas. Now, one of the biggest strengths of AI marketing is also its biggest weakness. AI only learns from existing information, which means it knows what worked in the past, but it doesn't know what will work in the future. That makes AI extremely useful for businesses and political campaigns that have been done thousands of times before. It can identify target audiences, optimize advertisements, create websites, and draft standard speeches much faster than any human. So those kinds of generic marketing jobs will likely be automated first. But in order to create a truly transformative business or political movement, you need someone who can recognize a change before everyone else does. Nobody asked for cars before they existed. Nobody knew smartphones would reshape society. And many political movements gain momentum long before the polls catch on. That's why entrepreneurs, marketers, activists, and politicians will still need human intuition. We are social creatures. We constantly read signals from the people around us, notice shifting values, and sense cultural changes before they start to trend. AI shows you the past, but humans pave the future. Plus, if you want a business or political movement to stick around, you have to build long-term partnerships. And most people would rather do that with humans than AI. Creative work. Now, AI is getting increasingly good at writing, graphics, music, and videos, though the quality is still pretty mediocre compared to what a seasoned artist can do. And as more AI slop floods the internet, it might actually change this industry in surprising ways. Sure, AI will likely replace jobs that focus purely on producing low-stakes content, like generic articles, stock photos, simple graphics, background music, and low-budget commercials. But the one thing you can count on is that people get bored. They don't just consume content because it's cheap and abundant. They want something that inspires them, challenges them, and adds meaning to their lives. So the more generic stuff out there, the more people will crave truly original work. Because again, AI is trained to imitate patterns that already exist. But human creativity emerges from lived experience, success, failure, struggle, loss. The complexity of our lives shape our taste and pushes us to innovate in ways that are difficult for AI to replicate. In fact, the longer the art form, like a book, movie, or TV series, the harder it is for AI to maintain a coherent, nuanced vision. That's why longer form writing, acting, and directing won't be replaced anytime soon. Even if AI helps brainstorm some content, you still need a human with good taste to curate and shape the final product. Engineering. Most people think engineering is about building things. But ask any experienced engineer and they will tell you that building is often the easiest part. Take software engineering, which AI is affecting the most right now. It can already generate thousands of lines of code in seconds that would previously take days to write. Things like basic databases, standard interfaces, and unit tests. But once projects become larger and more complex, AI starts to struggle. It's even worse in fields like electrical, mechanical, civil, and industrial engineering. An AI can generate something that looks impressive on the paper, but defies actual physics. Why is that? Because current AI models mostly run on statistical probabilities. They produce the most likely answer, but not always the correct ones. On the other hand, good engineers design from first principles. They break problems down to their fundamental truth, and then build solutions from the ground up. Of course, AI may eventually get better at that too. But even then, there's something humans do that's harder to replace: deciding what should be built in the first place. The best design isn't necessarily the most powerful or the most complicated. It has to solve the right problem for the right people. That means understanding human needs, translating them into technical requirements, and balancing competing trade-offs. An app can be fast, cheap, maintainable, or user-friendly, but rarely all of them at the same time. Researchers at MIT call this tacit knowledge. While AI can easily learn explicit information from books, it lacks the real-world experiences that allow humans to develop that implicit know-how. That's why most engineering jobs aren't likely to disappear anytime soon. In fact, many engineering fields already face chronic labor shortages. If AI can eliminate groundwork and reduce project costs, it may actually increase demand for engineers who can tackle larger and more complex problems. Science and academic research. You might think academic research is too complex for AI, but it's actually getting hit harder than many other careers. Researchers now routinely use AI to find relevant papers, analyze datasets, create charts, write code, and edit manuscripts. Tasks that once took graduate students weeks can often be done in hours. And AI tends to perform better in fields like math, physics, and chemistry because they have more clearly defined theories and more standardized procedures. But that doesn't mean scientists will be replaced. Because the most important parts of science isn't finding the right answers, it's asking the right questions. Einstein didn't discover the theory of relativity by doing math faster than anyone else. Instead, he posed a simple question. What would a light beam look like if I could run alongside of it at the same speed? And Alexander Fleming didn't discover penicillin because he followed a procedure. He noticed a contaminated petri dish that other researchers might have thrown away, and became curious enough to investigate further. See, real breakthroughs requires a surprising amount of creativity. AI can shuffle and recombine existing research, but it still struggles to produce truly original ones. In fact, studies show that AI has already resulted in a drop in research topic diversity and more low-quality, fraudulent studies. Creativity becomes even more important in fields like history, literature, and philosophy, where asking the right question often requires years of debate and collaboration with others. There is, however, a unique challenge in academia. There are often more people who want research jobs than there is money to fund them. So while AI may make senior researchers more productive by eliminating much of the groundwork, it could also reduce the number of entry-level positions available to aspiring students. Law. The legal field is notorious for having large amounts of paperwork, so it's easy to assume AI will eventually replace lawyers and paralegals altogether. But the reality is more complicated. AI can certainly automate repetitive tasks like recording client information, researching legal precedents, and drafting standard contracts. But legal work is often high stakes. A small mistake can cost someone thousands or even millions of dollars. So even if AI does most of the paperwork, a licensed professional still needs to review everything. And that's just the easy part. See, most people think of laws as these clear-cut rules that never change. In reality, laws are constantly being reinterpreted as society evolves. New technologies, new business models, and changing values can turn previously straightforward legal questions into highly ambiguous ones. Should Uber drivers be classified as employees or independent contractors? Should a social media platform be held responsible for content created by its users? Who owns an AI-generated image? The company that built the AI, the person who wrote the prompt, or the creators whose work was used to train the model? Knowing the law isn't enough. It takes sharp intuition to navigate legal nuance and build a winning strategy. And it takes emotional intelligence to guide clients through difficult conflicts and proceedings. Now, legal services has always been out of reach for most people because of the price tag. If AI speeds up paperwork, lawyers can charge less. That will allow more people to afford it, potentially creating more jobs. Healthcare and therapy. Healthcare also has a lot of paperwork. Medical records, insurance coding, billing, scheduling. But these records are often messy. Different doctors may use different terminology for the same symptoms. So it may take some time to standardize the entire industry before AI can automate paperwork reliably. Surprisingly, routine diagnosis may get automated faster because AI already performs at an expert level in areas like mammograms and cancer detection. So given enough data, it will likely get better at reading other kinds of scans and blood samples too. That said, our bodies are incredibly complex, and diseases are constantly evolving. There will always be patients with unusual symptoms and unique combinations of conditions. So AI will act more like a smarter tool that helps doctors make better decisions. Plus, medicine isn't just about diagnosis and treatments. Doctors and nurses also help patients feel safe, understood, and supported during some of the most vulnerable times of their lives. And that requires a human touch. It's also why fields like therapy are more complicated than it seems. Talking to AI when you're feeling down can offer quick relief, but true long-term growth happens with trusted people who will challenge you, hold you accountable, and facilitate a personalized and holistic treatment plan. Things AI cannot do yet. Now, I don't need to convince you how expensive healthcare is. Many people avoid it because they can't afford it. If AI can make it cheaper and more efficient, the demand for healthcare professionals will likely increase too. Education. A lot of people already use AI to learn new things. It can explain concepts, generate homework assignments, and even create a personalized lesson plan. But that doesn't mean school and educators will disappear, because the most important thing schools do isn't transferring information, it's creating structure. Left on their own, most students won't consistently study difficult subjects that don't provide immediate rewards. AI can help with learning, but you still need schools to cultivate that kind of accountability. School also serves another important purpose. It's where young people learn how to communicate, resolve conflicts, and collaborate in groups. As AI automates more paperwork, educators may have more time to provide one-on-one support and help students develop emotional resilience, social skills, critical thinking, and good learning habits. Because the most important role of an educator is to be a mentor and role model. While AI may be a helpful study buddy, most people still prefer another human being to help them become who they want to be. Management and administration. When you think of management, you're probably imagining someone who floods your inbox with dozens of memos, demands unnecessary report every other day, and schedules meetings where they talk for 45 minutes without getting anywhere. And sure, some managers are like that. If all they do is routine administrative work, they'll probably be the first to go. Because AI can send boring emails and run repetitive meetings all day long. In fact, many employers already use AI to track keystrokes, score performance, and automatically issue warnings. But studies have shown that such practices greatly reduce employee morale and increase turnover. On the other hand, good managers do something very different. They constantly balance competing priorities: team productivity, customer needs, employee well-being, and long-term strategies. A project might fall behind because two departments have different communication styles. A talented worker might quit because they don't feel valued. None of those problems show up neatly on a spreadsheet. You can send all the staff surveys you want, but if they don't trust you, no one will tell you what you really need to know to make good decisions. That's why the last managers to go are the ones with real leadership. They design organizations that brings out the best in people from all walks of life. They resolve conflicts before they turn into crisis. They inspire teams to work towards a shared vision rather than micromanaging every detail. That kind of leadership and respect is earned, something AI may never receive. Trades, logistics, and physical labor. For decades, experts assumed automation would destroy physical jobs first, but now it seems office jobs are more at risk. Neither of these things is completely accurate. While it is true that robotics is advancing more slowly than AI, physical labor automation actually started much earlier. The equivalent of repetitive office work that AI is replacing today was the repetitive manual labor that machines already replaced throughout the last century. Most consumer products that were once made by skilled craftsmen are now produced in highly automated factories with only a fraction of the workers. And as robotics improve, more physical jobs will be automated as well. This has already started in warehouses, where robots increasingly handle routine sorting, moving, and storing of goods. These environments are highly controlled, with standardized layouts, equipment, and procedures, making them much easier to automate. In China, there's even these dark factories that have so few workers that entire sections don't even need lights. But automation gets much harder out in the real world. Take self-driving vehicles. It took decades for them to operate reliably on standard highways and streets. Yet, fully autonomous driving in crowded areas, rural roads, and unusual weather remains a challenge. Real-world messiness is also why AI struggles to replace trades. Landscapers need to work around unusual terrains. Electricians need to fix decade-old wiring. Boat captains need to navigate storms. Even janitors often encounter strange messes in strange places. That said, better AI will also mean smarter machines that humans can direct instead of manually operate, like a fleet of delivery drones or autonomous lawnmowers. And because many trades faces chronic labor shortages, automation will allow workers to focus on larger, more complex projects. And just as photography didn't eliminate painting and recorded music didn't eliminate live performances, more automation may increase appreciation for handcrafted products and services as well. Now, you may have noticed a pattern in all of these careers. AI starts by automating tasks that are predictable and easy to measure. Things like processing repetitive information, following established procedures, and generating routine outputs. But when work involves unexpected problems in messy real-world environments, humans are still needed to make judgment calls. Not because humans know more facts, but because they are often better at improvising. And even if AI eventually becomes capable of handling messy environments, someone still needs to decide what goals and strategies actually matter. AI can suggest ideas based on previous patterns, but it struggles to match the insight and creativity that come from years of experience, something not easily captured in AI's training data. This is also why jobs built around relationships and trust are nearly impossible to replace. They require intuitions about human motivation, behavior, culture, and institutions that take a lifetime to master. Now, as AI and robotics get better, some job disruption is inevitable. But instead of a sudden job apocalypse, we're more likely to see a gradual shift in responsibilities within each career. Some tasks will shrink, other tasks will expand. Even entry-level jobs won't disappear completely, just like how entry-level construction workers today don't need to know how to build everything from scratch, like they did hundreds of years ago. They just need to learn how to use the machines. In the same way, entry-level workers in the future will need to learn how to use AI and robotics. But no matter how far automation progresses, the skill that will remain valuable are judgment, creativity, and intuition about people and systems, because they help us navigate a complex world when there isn't a clear rulebook. Of course, all of these predictions rest on one big assumption: AI will keep getting better. But that's still an open question. Many companies that have adopted AI aggressively have yet to see clear productivity gains. Some are even regretting it. Part of the challenge is technical. Current AI architectures may have limitations that are much harder to overcome than previously thought. There are also other barriers that have nothing to do with technology. I've explored those topics in previous videos. Also, if you're interested in developing one of the skills that AI struggle with the most, systems thinking, that's what this channel is all about. Check out this playlist and see how it applies to economics, politics, psychology, ecology, and many other areas of our lives. Thank you for being here.